I'm reading a section from Annihilation of Caste where Dr. Ambedkar makes a distinction between social reform as perceived by caste Hindus, Savarnas, and as perceived by him, a leader of the depressed classes. Depressed classes being a collective noun for all the castes that were oppressed under the caste system. It was much more in pertinence and usage in the early 1900s. It is necessary to make a distinction between social reform in the sense of the reform of the Hindu family and social reform in the sense of the reorganization and reconstruction of the Hindu society. The former has relation to widow remarriage, child marriages, etc., while the latter relates to the abolition of the caste system. Caste Hindus have concerned themselves with the reform of their caste Hindu family. They did not feel the necessity for agitating for the abolition of the caste, nor had they the courage to agitate for it. They felt quite naturally a greater urge to remove such evils as enforced widowhood, child marriages, evils which prevailed among their families and which were personally felt by them. They did not stand up for the reform of the Hindu society. The battle that was fought by them centered around the question of the reform of the family. It did not relate to the social reform in the sense of the breakup of the caste system for which leaders like Dr. Ambedkar were fighting. This distinction becomes important because among caste Hindus there is another section who are more interested in political reform, and their questions are along these lines. And this caste Hindu is a certain Mr. Banerjee, and his question is along these lines. I, for one, have no patience with those who say we shall not be fit for political reform until we reform our social system. I fail to see any connection between the two. Are we not fit for political reform because our widows remain unmarried and our girls are given in marriage earlier than in some other countries? Also, because our wives and daughters do not drive about with us visiting our friends, and because we do not send our daughters to Oxford and Cambridge. Mr. Banerjee presents these questions in a speech, and Dr. Ambedkar quotes them in this. The reason Dr. Ambedkar makes this distinction is when caste Hindus, those who want to reform Hindu family, were asked these questions, they had no answer. Because Dr. Ambedkar also agrees that social reform need not precede political reform only when by social reform it is meant the reform of the family. So as long as it is just a reform of the family unit, yeah, you don't need to do that. You can go get political reform, get your political power, and later on you can clean up the society. But social reform, as stated by Dr. Ambedkar, with regards to breaking down of caste system and making sure that everybody is treated equally, needs to happen before political reform happens or political power is given to Indians. And to counter Mr. Banerjee, whose speech he quotes, he has these questions. Let me now state the case for social reform. In doing this, I will follow Mr. Banerjee as nearly as I can and ask the politically minded Hindus. Are you fit for political power even though you do not allow a large class of your own countrymen, like the untouchables, to use public schools? Are you fit for political power even though you do not allow them the use of public wells? Are you fit for political power even though you do not allow them the use of public streets? Are you fit for political power even though you do not allow them to wear what apparel or ornaments they like? Are you fit for political power even though you do not allow them to eat any food they like? Dr. Ambedkar is of the opinion that when you ask these questions and you put society, showcase an unequal society where one class is subjugating another, then social reform becomes more important than political reform or gaining political power. He concludes this with a statement. Every congressman and it makes sense to share here that congressmen, Indian National Congress was the party of high caste Hindus, upper caste Hindus, who were more politically minded and not socially minded. So he's asking this question to Congress. Every congressman who repeats the dogma of Mill that one country is not fit to rule another country must admit that one class is not fit to rule another class. So that's where Dr. Ambedkar differs from the upper caste social reformers. He is seeking a society where hierarchical barriers are taken away and everybody is treated equally with liberty, equality, and fraternity. For those of you who are wondering how pertinent the questions asked by Dr. Ambedkar are to today's India, I would suggest that you get on YouTube and search for this one video called India Untouched. I always use it to introduce the issue of caste system to non-Indians and Indians alike if they are in denial. So it's a neat 10-minute segment, so it feels very easy to watch and it's very, very well done.